Indonesia-Australia Comprehensive Economic Partnership atau IACPA akan memudahkan dunia usaha Indonesia untuk bekerja sama dengan berbagai perusahaan di Australia. 3 negara bagian Australia bahkan telah membuat strategi pendalaman kerjasama yang akan menguntungkan kedua negara.
Hanya berjarak 4 jam terbang dari Jakarta, ibu kota negara bagian Australia Barat, Perth, siap menjadi yang terdepan dalam mengaplikasikan kerjasama dagang Indonesia dan Australia. Pemerintah Provinsi Australia Barat bahkan menunjuk Menteri Khusus Urusan Asia, Peter Tinley, yang berambisi menunaikan potensi perdagangan antara Indonesia dengan negara bagian terbesar di Australia ini.
It's closer to Jakarta than it is to Canberra. From this town, from where we sit. So if we are not doing all that we can to create a better outcome for both countries, then Western Australia is not doing a good national service to the country.
Letak geografis Australia Barat yang strategis memudahkan perdagangan dengan negara tetangga Asia Tenggara, khususnya Indonesia. Namun nyatanya, Indonesia adalah pasar ekspor ke-10 dari Australia Barat dan merupakan pasar terbesar untuk gandum dan ternak sebesar 2,3 miliar dolar Australia atau sebesar 23 triliun rupiah. Sementara Australia Barat merupakan pasar ke-12 terbesar Indonesia dengan ekspor minyak bumi olahan, minyak mentah, mesin, dan peralatan industri. Sementara negara bagian yang berpopulasi paling besar, New South Wales, juga tidak mau kalah ambil bagian dari perjanjian dagang Indonesia-Australia. Wakil Menteri Utama New South Wales, John Barilaro, menegaskan ibu kota negara bagian Sydney sebagai pusat perekonomian Australia memiliki fasilitas dan tenaga kerja yang memadai untuk memperkuat kerjasama dengan Indonesia.
We also are the engine room to Australia. You don't just get New South Wales, you don't just get Sydney, but we are the engine room, we are the economy of the Australian economy. And when Sydney and New South Wales is performing, the Australian economy is performing. That is why we attract so many investments from all over the globe.
Selalu bersaing dengan New South Wales, negara bagian dengan populasi paling besar kedua di Australia, Victoria, juga agresif dalam memasarkan produk susu dan ternak ke Indonesia. Ibu kota negara bagian Victoria, Melbourne, juga menjadi pusat pendidikan di mana mayoritas pelajar Indonesia mengenyam pendidikan.
So it's not just about students coming here, but it's about the opportunity for our universities to work in Asia, to work in Indonesia, which a number of our universities have been moving into Southeast Asia already. And that collaboration, that ability for us to share information is really important. This is not, from our point of view, just about our export opportunities. It's about how we can collaborate better and ensure that our university sector and some of the skills training that we can offer can help build the Indonesian economy as well.
Setelah berunding selama 9 tahun, Indonesia-Australia menyepakati perjanjian yang menghapus 6.474 komoditi asal Indonesia, sementara Indonesia akan menghapus tarif bea masuk sebesar 94% untuk barang dari Australia. Sektor industri utama di kedua negara yang akan mendapat manfaat dari penghapusan tarif ini antara lain otomotif, tekstil, dan furnitur. Dari Perth, Sydney, dan Melbourne, Australia, Andini Effendi, Niken Riwu, Metro TV.
Thank you so much for having us.
Selamat datang.
Terima kasih. So let's start the discussion with IACP. So based on the goods and product, Australia, as we know, have much better quality and also has a higher chance compared the other way around coming in to Australia in terms of Indonesian goods and products. And how do you make sure that IACP is a win-win for both countries?
Well, it's structured as being a win-win as we've worked to conclude the arrangement and now go through our various parliaments. I mean, this creates tariff-free environments for both countries. I mean, and we're at the very, I think, the embryonic stage of our economic relationship. I mean, it's about a $17 billion trade relationship, but, you know, we're a $1.5 trillion US economy, and Indonesia similarly is more than $1 trillion US economy and growing. So we're at the ground floor of this relationship and setting up the rules which will see both countries prosper from working together. Now, one of the key priorities that has been highlighted in the discussions from the Indonesian side has particularly been access to investment, and particularly access to training and skills and the services side of what we can bring. Now that means young Indonesians, older Indonesians for that matter, are going to have the opportunity of that investment and that training, which is going to build capability within the Indonesian economy. But the investment side of it in particular is something that the Indonesian government has focused very heavily on. But it provides the equal opportunities for both countries to enjoy a relationship that benefits from proximity as well as an increasing alignment of our economies. So it's good for both of us, and if it wasn't, neither of us would have signed it.
So how do you make sure, though, in the part of investment, because it's very significant for the Indonesian part, how do you push or facilitate the Australian private sector to invest in Indonesia?
Yeah, well, there are a couple parts of this. I mean, first of all, there has to be the barriers removed to allow that investment, and there have been barriers to that investment in the past, so they've been moved away, and will continue to move away over time. The other part of it is having greater confidence about the stability of the economic relationship itself, and so Australians can feel confident when they go and invest in Indonesia that there is a long-term arrangement between the two countries that they can benefit from. So remove that uncertainty. I mean, investment is always repelled by uncertainty, and I think this creates greater certainty in the economic relationship, and particularly in sectors where there's a close alignment. And then once those barriers are removed, I mean, Australians are smart investors. They go where the profits are. They go where the opportunities are, and there are opportunities in Indonesia. And when you remove the uncertainties that can be around bureaucracy or regulations that can sometimes be conflicting, or impediments, regulatory impediments to investment, well, that's always going to discourage people. Getting that out of the way enables the conversation to start, and for Indonesia's opportunities to speak for themselves.
Do you think President Jokowi will be able to do that?
Oh, absolutely, I do. I mean, President Jokowi is, I think, one of the most exciting leaders in the region. He has a very big understanding, I think, about Indonesia's potential, not just its economy, but as a country itself. And it's very hard to resist his ambition and passion. And I think he's projecting that very well into Australia, but not just into Australia, but around the entire region. He is really standing up as one of the, obviously, with Indonesia playing such a huge role in our region. I mean, his encapsulating of the Indo-Pacific idea, the concept, is something we strongly support. And he's led that from the front. But he's not just working on the economy. Oceans policy, recycle, all these issues I know are close to his heart. And what he's doing on infrastructure investment in Indonesia is opening up its economy like nothing else.